There's actually many steps between getting someone from the street into permanent housing, and that gap is sometimes neglected.
Homelessness is a growing problem in LA and around the county. The latest report shows nearly 58,000 people are homeless. That's up 23% from last year.
Even in a year where we're able to nearly double over 18 months the number of people we're putting into housing, that many more people fell into homelessness that we fell even further behind.
Proposition HHH was approved by voters in 2016 and allowed the city of LA to borrow up to $1.2 billion to provide affordable housing for the homeless.
All the focus is on permanent supportive housing in Los Angeles. It takes 2 to 5 years to get one of those through. Are people supposed to stay on the street until that happens?
Homelessness will be a condition that will be with us forever, but how quickly do we get people out of that? Right now, we're sometimes waiting decades before they're brought out of homelessness, or sometimes we fail and they die on our streets.
Homelessness in LA has always been an issue, but recently it's actually been getting worse. And I hope that with this movement and this funding and this process of trying to build permanent housing, there will also be a focus on the transition. Cardboarigami is a portable shelter which is made of cardboard, so it's not expensive. It's also treated with an additional layer to be waterproof, but still recyclable. The shelter product is the first step as the initial basic necessity. However, we follow up with social services, any health services they may need, and then eventually job placement and permanent housing. It's not just about putting someone into 4 walls, right? It's about, hey, what else does this person need to be healthy again or successful in a meaningful way? Really, the goal and the plan is to expand as quickly as possible, to obtain more support, more funding, and more partners so that we can really have a greater reach. And we want to be able to meet that demand by working with others. So that's really our biggest need right now and the biggest challenge.
You just have a number and you're waiting on the street until your apartment's ready. Like, you need to stabilize. Like, coming from the street into permanent supportive housing, it's an abrupt transition. You have to go through several steps. I'm a professor at the University of Southern California, assistant professor of architectural practice. We wanted to do something that was non-hypothetical architecture work, which the students have been doing for 3 years. We wanted to do something practical that could be applied to this problem in Los Angeles. What we're trying to do is just keep people off the street and stabilize as soon as possible. And the idea that when it first came together is that it had to be modular, it had to be portable. So what we wanted to do was go in and make it where this can be in 2 weeks, be out in 2 weeks. This is the interior of the unit. Students built all this. So everything is Baltic birch cut on the CNC router. It's meant to be easily replaceable as people cycle out of the units. It will take abuse. The unit's super insulated. It's quite a hot day and it's actually pretty cool in here right now. We have 4 windows, including a full light door that are all operable so to get cross ventilation. Imagine, like, walking off a busy city street and walking into your house, closing the door, and everything's quiet, everything's safe, and just like, that's when you start rebuilding your life. There are empty malls, these churches. There are empty used car lots. There's anywhere that's paved, we can bring this system in. So we could make hundreds, if not thousands, of these things within the next year. If we can just get the funding to do it, we can actually, it is a complete possibility that these things could be in use in Los Angeles. I mean, one of my worst fears is this becomes, instead of a temporary solution, becomes a permanent solution. It's not a stopgap measure, but it's a transitional measure, and we just don't want it, I don't want it to become permanent.
People really don't want to be living in those conditions. They don't choose it. It's just, everyone's story is different, unfortunately. Some of us, are in the same boat, like one paycheck away from losing everything. And so the city the private entities in LA, the nonprofits in LA, all need to really work together instead of working in silos towards the goal of reducing this homelessness count.
There's been an explosion of compassion in this city. I think it was always there, but not only reflected in 2 votes, but now people are like, what else can I do, Mayor? So I say, look, if you're a member of a church or a synagogue or a mosque, how about that parking lot that gets used 1 day a week mostly? Can we build housing on that? So there's really roles for companies, for individuals, for nonprofits, for the faith community, for all of us to play. I certainly take the lead and the responsibility for the leadership in ending homelessness, but I remind Angelenos it's on all of us.